In this video, I'll be removing any blocks you have around self-healing to give you back the power and confidence in healing yourself. For those of you who are new, my name is Matthew Zoltan, and I've been helping people heal themselves for the past 40 odd years, or more so actually. The way in which I've been doing this began after 7 years of living as a yogi monk, and I came back into the real world, so to speak, and opened a healing clinic, a healing and meditation clinic. And my approach to the healing of the individual immediately came out of what I experienced all on my own account during those many years of meditating. And that was that the body itself was the healer, and that whatever we do as therapists or healers may at the very most merely help support that healing. But never can we claim ourselves to be, as the therapist or the helper, never do we actually succeed in actually healing anybody. Healing is something that nature itself only can do. So nature, which the body is the healer of itself, and it needs the right environment, the right circumstance, and maybe some guidance in that process. But the first thing I saw was that people have a poor relationship or a wrong relationship with pain and ailments and illness in general. And that relationship is that this means, one, there's something wrong with me, that these are my enemies, and these are things that I must either suppress, drug out, conquer, or fix because they are wrong. And these are all, in my view, completely incorrect, because there's nothing actually wrong. And so the view that there is something wrong with you when you have any so-called ailment is just a misunderstanding, just ignorance from the nature of our own societies that we've learnt this ignorance from. And the reality of the fact that these are not things that are wrong with us at all, but they're actually things that are an expression of the living organism that we are coming into manifestation, whether it's through a sore knee or through a disturbance in our thinking, as a way to inform us from deeper within the natural intelligence of our own physical organisms. And that intelligence of our own physical organisms was something that I discovered firsthand for myself, accidentally and completely separate to my life as a monk. But during those years and years of deep meditation, as I came into contact with pain or ailments in my own body, or just stresses that I was holding there, and instead of moving away from that pain, I would just stay with those pains and distresses and allow those pains and distresses, whether physical or psychological, allow those to play out, meaning allow those to play out in the containment of the stillness of my own body. And this is very important, the containment of the stillness of my own body. And in the containment of the stillness of my own body, many distresses will arise and disperse, arise and disperse. And quite commonly, as each one arose and dispersed, what I found was any mental disturbances or mental confusions or views of myself that were inhibiting me, that were playing out in my thinking in my day-to-day life, even as a monk, or any time in my life, I found that these would also dissipate. But the thought processes about myself that were harming me or holding me back, or distorted self-views of myself, were actually dropping away secondary to the distresses within the body behind those thought processes. So what I discovered was that it was the distresses and the tensions held in the body, in the flesh of me, in different parts of my body, that would become more and more disturbing to sit with the longer I sat still with these. You know, when you get a bit uncomfortable and you just move, I just move then, you know, you get a bit uncomfortable and so you move. And this discomfort can be really mild, but you move anyway. And the opposite to that is when you feel a bit of discomfort, just stay perfectly still. And if you stay perfectly still, it will take different lengths of time depending on how deeply suppressed that tension is inside of you. But the longer you sit still, the more you'll find those tensions and distresses, the little discomforts that make you move generally, by staying still. It's interesting how they start to show that those little discomforts are just the tip of the iceberg, and the iceberg underneath those shows itself as you sit longer and quieter and more still. And the more you remain still, the more you start to feel these actual distresses as they are suppressed within the body of you. And as they come out, as they come back to life, I should say, and as you come back to life in response to these, meaning that you start to feel more of yourself. Therefore, you start to feel the life of yourself. And in feeling more of the life of yourself, you discovered why you haven't been feeling so much of yourself or all of yourself before, is because you're actually avoiding those feelings, as we all do when we avoid just any discomfort, rather than staying still when there's discomfort, or any situation that disturbs us, rather than staying in that situation when we're disturbed. What this showed me is just being with the physical sensation and staying still in the body of me was where the pain was showing itself. And as that pain's showing itself and feeling it, as it's showing itself, showing meaning it's coming to life as a feeling within the body of me, and causing also much reaction or mental disturbance with that pain. And these mental reactions and disturbances with the physical pain were always associated with that pain. And as that pain dissipated, what would come back to me would be some memory, some unresolved issue in my life that I'd forgotten about or suppressed or just moved on from at any point in my life. So as the physical pain, disturbance or ailment dropped away, so the mental processes or the thoughts that I would have, the memories that would occur to me, were always related to that pain. And how I would say that is because they came after that pain dissipated, or during and after the dissipation of that pain. And they're always very precise. And what I mean by precise is, as I came to discover, different pains in different parts of my body were actually relevant to what I ended up thinking out of processing those pains. So the thought process that I was, or the mental condition that I was in, and what I was thinking about at the time, were relevant to the particular area of the body where the pain was held initially. So as the years went on, building my clinic, I used, massage, meditation, of course, talk therapy, and most importantly, when I used to either massage or talk to people, I always brought people back to and out of the complications of their thought processes and the complications of what their fear had done with having some ailment or some physical injury, getting them out of that fear and out of that concern with that, back to the actual source and the essence and the origin of all those conditions as a sensation existing with their own body, within their own body, that they weren't quite in contact with or were frightened to be in contact with. And so it was the same with the meditation. So I developed this natural approach to meditation, which was completely opposite to what had ever happened in the monastic world with meditation, or the traditional world of meditation. And that was to just come back to the physical sensations of yourself as a body, not to disassociate from yourself into thought-induced experiences, which is the usual approach to meditation throughout the whole world and throughout every approach to meditation that is traditional. But to come back to the feelings that are already there, come back to the feeling sense of yourself, not the thoughts about yourself, not the thoughts you can think about yourself, because the thoughts you think about yourself are driven essentially from the way in which it feels to be you in the first place. And so coming back to the origin and the driving force of those thoughts was coming back to the feelings of distress and distortions in the body. And at that origin, to dissipate the force of that energy was what's bringing about a resolution of all that distressful thinking anyway. So to resolve the mental issues, again, was to come back to the physical origin of that mental issue as the distress and the distortion in your own body. So throughout my life, working with people for the last over 45 odd years actually, I've had tremendous success in the healing of everything that people have come to see me with, but it's not been essentially me doing the healing, of course, it never is. It's actually that I'm just helping people understand how the body is its own natural healer and how to get out of that way. And in this video, I wanted to help you gain more confidence in being your own healer. And the reason this is important is because you are the only one who can heal yourself. Of course, you can go to therapists and other people to get some advice or some insight on what you're dealing with, but it's really important that you just take that advice and then go away and work that out for yourself. You know, the era of trusting medics, trusting what doctors say, trusting what therapists say, I think is dying, because they've been mostly misleading people and have just added to the problem of mental and physical illness, particularly in my lifetime. I've seen this tremendous increase in both physical and psychological conditions, which has mostly been caused by the wrong approach to healing. And the wrong approach to healing is to use drugs, is to use any form of suppressant, or to avoid any sort of distress that's in your body. And the only reason a person would offer you for either mental or physical conditions would offer you drugs to suppress that condition, the only reason is because they don't understand the condition itself and they don't know what else to do. So they're at the end of their tether. They really don't have an answer. If they're giving you drugs, what they're saying is, I don't know how to help you, so what I will do is give you something to suppress your condition, so you can go away and live as a half human in a suppressed and numbed out state, rather than help you understand that what you're feeling, although it may be difficult, that is not your enemy. Whether it's physical pain or psychological distress and pain, it's not your enemy. It's your body trying to heal itself. Your body trying to heal itself. That means you are trying to heal yourself. And many therapists are simply getting in the way of that. And so you've got to be very, very careful. So you need to take responsibility for your own mental and physical health. And this video is to give you some more encouragement as to how to do that and why you should do that. And why you should do it essentially because only you know your own pain, only you know how it feels inside of you. So only you have the capacity to really know your own condition. And how do you know your own condition? You know your own condition because you feel it. And nobody else can feel what it is you're feeling. So you know exactly how much weight you can put on that broken leg, or how much weight you can put on that injured ankle, or how much pressure you can work under with the amount of stress you have inside of you before you start to lose your focus or lose your state of equilibrium and find yourself unable to cope. So you know what you can cope with by the indication of when you lose the ability to cope. So there you find your own limits. So finding your own limits is only possible for you. You have to find those for yourself. So whether you're in physical pain or psychological pain, you're the one who knows how you are. So you need to listen to your own body. You know, you need to pay attention to yourself in pain, not ignore that pain, not suppress that pain, but pay attention to that, feel that when it's there, and operate under the guidance of that. If you operate within the weakness, within the boundaries of your own weakness, or the boundaries of your own pain, or the boundaries of your own condition, then what you're doing is you're not hurting yourself more. You're taking care of yourself. You're not harming yourself. And the second thing is the most important element in taking responsibility for your own healing of anything at all is you have to stop the harm. In any way you can, stop whatever it is that's harming you, because whatever it is that you're doing that's harming you, or whatever person that's in your life that is harming you, or whatever situation that is in your life that's harming you, whatever is harmful for you is the very thing that's going to prevent you from being able to heal. Because you'll heal a little bit, but if you're still, doing harm in the same way, then you're just going to repeat the damage and you can't get very far. So if you're in an abusive relationship, for example, and you get over a dose of abuse one day, but you're still there for another dose of abuse the next day, and the next day, and the next day, you simply can't catch up with your own healing. You heal and you hurt again, you heal and you hurt again. And this sort of situation is difficult to leave, because once traumatized in this way through repetitive harm in a relationship situation, once traumatized, you find it's very difficult to see how you yourself can stand on your own 2 feet. And really, the way to do that is to respond to your own harm and remove yourself from the situation, even though you're really, really frightened of doing that. Removing yourself from the situation, even for a weekend, even for maybe a week, go away on your own and see the difference of how it feels to be on your own. Get used to being on your own again and see what that's really like, and how much you start to recover just by not being in an environment that's harmful to you. Now, I know that's a big call and you may need help in doing that, and that's a very difficult thing to do, but it comes back to this is the result of the traumatized person, is they can't get away from that which is traumatizing them. So this is because it changes you. It causes you to lose your own sense of yourself, and that sense of yourself is the third thing that I want to talk about, and that is that your sense of yourself is your main foundation for your mental and physical health, and your ability to function in life. And your sense of yourself is what I encourage people to use my natural meditation, Undo Meditation app for, to learn how to come back to, and what it means to come back to your own physical sense of yourself, away from just the mental ideas of yourself. You see, in life, we've been given many ideas about ourselves from other people, and these are other people's thoughts that we then take on and use about ourselves. And we learn to think about ourselves in ways that are not healthy. We learn to think about ourselves in ways that are not really about ourselves at all. And so we don't find we can understand ourselves and feel fulfilled when using these thoughts about ourselves and creating our own images and our own phobias and our own dislikes of ourselves, just because we've been taught to think that way about ourselves. So that's one aspect, is that we learn to think about ourselves. The other is in the world of spirituality and religion and meditation. We're taught what to think about ourselves, and we're also taught what to think about the world. We still aren't thinking our own thoughts. We're thinking the thoughts that other people have taught us. So in living in that space, we're living in another fabricated idea of ourselves, creating experiences out of these thoughts that we then believe to be our own experiences, that we then believe to be real experiences. But they're not real experiences. They're experiences that come about through what we are thinking. So when we are taught to think certain thoughts, we create experiences that line up with those thoughts. And this is the problem with meditation techniques and belief systems, is what we believe and the techniques we apply create experiences in ourselves that are just the conjurings of those techniques and those repetitions of those beliefs. They're not an experience of reality nor of ourselves at all. So to exit this delusion about ourselves is very important. And it isn't that complicated, actually. To exit the delusion of ourselves is to understand all that we think about ourselves is really what we've learnt from the world around us. What we think about the world, we've learnt from our teachers, we've learnt from our cultures, we've learnt from our religions. So everything we've been taught to think about ourselves in the world has been passed down from generations before us and given to us from our friends. And so none of these are our own thoughts. We haven't discovered this for and from ourselves. So to recover from this disassociation from ourselves into ideas about ourselves, we have to come back to what ourselves really is. And ourselves is not a bunch of thoughts or a bunch of ideas. Ourselves is a living, breathing, feeling, an intelligent living organism, the animal of what we are, the body of ourselves. And how that feels inside of ourselves is where we begin to rediscover ourselves. So the physical sense of the body of us is quite a separate thing to what we think about that body, therefore to what we think about ourselves. And to know ourselves as we actually are is a unique and personal thing. And that is to find the experience of ourselves in the feeling of the flesh of us. We cannot know ourselves through how we think about ourselves. That's what we've been taught to think, and we won't know ourselves that way. We will know a fabricated version of ourselves. So to know ourselves means to know ourselves without any additional influences being put upon that experience. And that means whatever you think is gone. It's irrelevant to knowing yourself. It's what you are as a living organism, what it feels like to be you. So you start from the inside out. So inside of you, however you are at any point, just feeling that and just being with that for a long period of time, as I originally was talking about what I was doing in those few years towards the end of my period of being a monk, was to just be with those sensations, whether they're painful or uncomfortable, whatever they may be, and allow the container of my own self, my own body self, to be the world in which that was being processed, to feel that pain, to feel that condition. And in this, I was allowing the body to heal itself. I didn't know that. I was discovering that. Actually, I didn't even know I was doing it at the time. It wasn't until hindsight that I realized that's exactly what I was doing. And so that is my foundation for working with people for the rest of my life. My foundation was I discovered for and from myself how I, as a living organism, actually heal both physically and psychologically. And then I was able to simply pass that discovery on to every other person I've come into contact with. And it actually works because this is the way we heal. It's not, we don't need to work out externally from the outside in how to heal ourselves. We need to work out from the inside out how we do heal ourselves. And that means to actually learn from the living organism that we are rather than learn from other people and other experts. So by all means, you're going to need help at times with whatever you're dealing with, but really the main thing is you get the advice, but don't just buy into it straight away because most of it will be wrong. Most advice on diets is wrong. Your answer to your diet is going to come from you, actually, and that's going to change day by day, and that will come from your own interest, taking your own interest in how it feels to be you, and coming back to the physical sensations in your body so you can actually rediscover these very telling, very guiding sensations in the body of you that you are very reliant on to live your life. So with food, if you can't feel the sensation of hunger inside of you when it's real, and you can't tell the difference between hunger in your stomach and fear in your stomach, then you're going to eat the wrong food out of fear to try and make yourself feel good, rather than eat the right food out of your actual physical hunger to nurture yourself and to bring nutrients into your body. And so this is something you can learn for and from yourself over time. You just have to investigate and play with things yourself. You can learn a little bit from the outside, but I've found over my lifetime that most things that people are saying are bias, and most people are just talking from their own little bit of experience, rather than seeing that, the body of you needs different things at different times. And you're changing all the time. And if you're living in the sense of yourself, if you learn to live from the body sense of yourself, you'll discover that that change is not a bad thing. It's a good thing as long as you can live with it. Whereas the ideas and the beliefs you have about yourself, they don't change much. You just get stuck in those, and you're unable to move with the flow of life that you are. And so I think what I'll do now is we'll have a little experiment for you, and that is I'm going to guide you in a very simple meditation that will reconnect you with the body of you in a way that you may never have experienced before or haven't recognized occurring before. The reason I want to do this for you is because we've talked about a few things. It's just an introductory on everything you can learn from me and from the work that I do and from my Undo app. And these are the things that you can use, these tools you can use after listening to this talk. But some of you only listen to this talk and be entertained and forget about it. Others of you will look up the app and take it further. I encourage you to do that because there's a lot to be gained from my life's work. I've come to understand things in a very different way to other people. I think it's important to look at things in different ways because if you look at the condition of our species in general, we aren't doing so well. You know, the medical and the psychological profession have completely miserably failed. The religious professions and spirituality has again miserably failed, because we find that what they're professing, what they're saying you can do, is not actually helping us do that. People are not well. People are not functioning very easily in this world. And I know we can say the world is a problem. Of course, the world itself is problematic because of the individuals that we are causing these problems in our world. But even those problems we can live with as the individual. We know how to live with, essentially and primarily, how to live with ourselves. And this is what my app is helping people understand how to do, as well as become your own personal physician. I'm going to guide this meditation now, and I'll leave you quietly with it at the end. So for now, just notice how you're feeling. Many things that I've said today may be stimulating, may be interesting, may be disturbing in different ways, and that's okay. However it's affected you, you will know the effect it's had on you by the way you feel in your body. Notice any sort of sensation in your body. How is it feeling, for example, through your throat, chest, and stomach right now? Just feel that. Feel into the sensations throughout the center of your body there. And as you feel those sensations, you'll notice that you may find it difficult at first. You may find you're quite numb. And that's okay too. If you feel numb, that too is a feeling. And if you feel numb, that's where you have to begin. All of us have to begin with the first feeling that comes to us. The first feeling that we're able to feel. The first sensation that we're able to feel throughout or within our body, in any part or in the whole of our body. Just feeling it there. And don't be concerned about what your thinking is doing right now. All you've got to do is follow the words that I'm speaking, and that will take your thinking problem away from you for a while, because you'll be thinking the words that I'm speaking in order to actually recognize and understand those words. I speak, and you repeat that word to yourself. This is how we communicate. So you think to yourself the words that I speak out loud in the form of communication, as you listening and me speaking. So I'm speaking, you're listening, and going along with this, you're just listening, listening to the sound of my voice, and feel what it feels like to just listen. Just to listen. Not to think about the details of what I'm speaking about, but just to listen is to feel inside your own ears. What does it feel like to listen? Just listening. And as you listen, you hear the sound of my voice. And then when I'm not speaking, you are just in the action of listening to nothing in particular. Just feeling what it feels like in the act of listening. And as you're looking through your eyes at my face on the screen, you're just looking, not thinking about how I look, just looking at the image. Then now come back to your eyes, just looking. How does it feel in you to just look, to see? Making the most important thing now, not what you're seeing, but what it feels like to be seeing from within your own eyes. And now we'll expand this a little bit to what you can feel as your skin, the surface of your skin, just feeling the touch of your skin, the surface of your skin, in the action of touch, in the sense of touch. What does it feel like on your skin, in contact with your clothing, in contact with the air around you? What does it feel like to just feel your skin on the edge of your own body in contact with the atmosphere around you? What does it feel like? So to answer what it feels like to listen, what it feels like to look, what it feels like in the sensation of touch on your skin, to answer that question, what does it feel like? You have to feel it. To know these things, to know your own presence in these things. You can't think about it. You have to feel it. Notice that for yourself. And in feeling this, you have gone quite deep into the experience of your own existence. Just in the simple act of looking, of listening, of the touch of your skin. There you have how it feels being you. And as you sit here, notice any sensations throughout the body internally, throughout your flesh. And just feeling those, the ones that draw your attention the most. Just feeling those. Again, feeling the presence of your own existence, made up of these many parts. Nothing mystical, nothing spiritual, nothing necessarily material. Just how does it feel being in the experience of your own existence, feeling it. Feeling the sensations, you'll notice if you sit with them long enough, they will continually change. Even now, you feel many different things going on throughout your body. Or you may just feel numb. For those of you who feel numb, feel that numbness. It's very important to feel that. That's an indication of your disassociation from yourself. in there. And that disassociation, that disconnection will break down by just feeling the numbing effect of it. And you'll go deeper. But for those of you who are feeling such a variety of little sensations throughout every part of you, this is the ongoing life of you doing its own thing. This is happening all on its own. And this is where healing begins. Coming into this is also where you hold all memory, all distress, all unresolved experiences or traumas. It's all in the body of you. And healing that occurs simply by feeling into any part of you. You activate and enliven that part of you to recover itself. Just feeling yourself as you are. This is the meditation of the body, to quietly be yourself, beneath all the ideas that you've been taught about yourself and the world. Beneath all of that, you have the beginnings of your own intelligence in the felt sensations of the body of you. Starting there, you're starting with the reality of you, exactly how you are right now. So this is a very simple little meditation to get you back into your body, instead of lost in thoughts about yourself, back in the reality of knowing yourself as you exist right now, as it can be known to you. So if you want to take this further, you can download my Undo Meditation app, undoapp.com, for a very unique and original 14 chapters of understanding how to take care of yourself in every way, in every aspect of life. How to end the harm and begin the healing, and many other things. Thanks for joining me today. If this talk resonated with you or helped you in any way at all, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the talk with your friends so that they can get the benefit as well. Okay, bye for now.